Hey everyone, welcome to a very special edition of the third Intermission podcast. It's your girl Marsha, MJ, the queen of black hockey, flipping the script as we slide into something new. In one of our previous episodes, you might have heard some seeds being planted about us entering the world of curling. Well, my friends, the time is nigh, and the episode is here. Before I give you a glimpse into my day, I first want to say a huge thank you to friend of the show, Jolene Latimer, who is killing it out in Italy right now, as well as Women in Curling Canada, for giving me such an amazing opportunity to be a part of their pilot project. I had a blast. I hope y'all can take away from this episode some of the key things that I got from the day, and also a shout out to my friend Isabel for joining me in this process. Without further ado, I'll jump right in with a snip from one of the panels from the Women in Curling Summit.
I feel very small. So my story is quite different and probably very similar to a lot of you of why I started curling. Small town Saskatchewan. Quite a bit bigger than your small town, but we had a curling club. I lived, I think, half a block from the curling club, so I was a rink rat. Ringette, so our facility was 4 sheets of curling, and then we had the ice pad next door. Half a block, but again, I got into it, like a lot of you, through my mother and my grandmother. And so it seemed like the women in our family curled. The men did not, probably because they were earning a living doing whatever, but those were my role models. My aunts and my grandmother. We used to go into a bonspiel in my hometown called the Rosebud, and I played with my grandmother and my aunts, and it just was the thing to do, right? Small town Saskatchewan, what else do you do? It seemed like everyone curled. So that's how I got into it at a young age, before we even had the Little Rocks. It seemed like curling wasn't very inclusive. I remember trying to join the ladies' league when I was in high school, but you couldn't unless you were bar age. Like, it made no sense to me. Thankfully, I hope that has changed in a lot of clubs, that we're a little bit more inclusive, welcoming to the young curlers, that they can partake in leagues. But that's how I started. Small town Saskatchewan, not much else to do. It seemed like everyone curled. Was very different. I moved to Saskatoon to go to university, and it wasn't as popular as small town, but it still was a place to go and a great place to meet people, which I think is amazing, because how else do you meet people nowadays, right? Is we're like-minded, we love the sport. So I just found that wherever you go, you can find a curling club and you can meet people and introduce yourself, and the passion for the sport is there, and that's how we meet people. Moved to Ontario about 30 years ago, met a guy, tried the long distance thing. I tried to get him to move to Saskatchewan. He did not. So I moved to Ontario 30 years ago. And again, that transition was so easy because of the sport. So I started the sport because of the women in my family, met my husband because of the sport, had 2 amazing children who also curl. So it's become cyclical, right? You want to surround yourself with great people, and I find that curlers are incredible people. Hopefully we'll still be curling at 80. But I found myself that once I got off the circuit, the gold circuit of curling, still wanted to stay active in the sport. So senior curling, thankfully, can do that. Now sit behind the bench and do a bit of coaching. And then people will say, well, why did you take up coaching? And it was very self-serving, because I still want to surround myself with the people, the amazing people in the sport. I don't know 10 years, 20 years down the road if I'll still be curling, but hopefully I'll still keep in touch with people, because it's the people in the sport too that are amazing. Past teammates, it's just great that we reconnected last night. And I mean, this sport is amazing for so many reasons. Met my husband, have children, wonderful teammates, friends for life because of the sport. And I see everyone nodding their head, because similar stories, right? This sport is absolutely amazing.
My story is a little bit different. I got onto the ice for the first time 4 years ago. I've been in a wheelchair for 30 years and have always hated winter for obvious reasons, just a little tough to get around. And I had a able-bodied friend who was a curler call me up and he said, there's a bunch of wheelchair curlers at our club. Have you ever considered that? And I said, no, but anything to help me hate winter less, I'm all in. And so I went out, I tried it. I've always loved sport, and so I had always had difficulty finding a place where, wasn't on a basketball court with 9 people in wheelchairs looking for a tent. So it's a very integrated sport, very inclusive, and so it was one of those sports where you could play with able-bodied people, and that's something that I was looking for in addition to hating winter less. And I was just immediately in love with it. I went in curious, very, not low expectations, but just maybe even no expectations, but just left knowing that I had found something really, really special. So I went on the ice for the first time in October 4 years ago, and then in November was in my first tournament. They cobbled together a team of new curlers, so sort of a month in, and we were horrible. We lost every single game, not by a little, and I was I didn't know the etiquette of curling, and so I was just like, yay, boo, and so people are like, oh my god, and so that just sort of reinforces the fact that I had no idea what was going on, but it was fun. Everyone was so nice, and I mean they were slaughtering us, but so I think they just they were very kind and tried to help us, and just said, well, I think you would do it this way and not that way, and then during one of the breaks, Mick Lismore, the national wheelchair curling coach, came over to me and he said, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Mick, and I was just like, what's up, Mick? I didn't know who he was. And he told me who he was, and he said that he had been watching and really liked what he saw, and I was just like, what? And then I waved him a little bit forward, and I said, I don't want to embarrass you, but I think you have the wrong person. And he was just like, no, I have the right. And I was just like, well, and I didn't want to embarrass him, and so we exchanged numbers, and then I just sort of left it at that. And then a couple of weeks later, I got a call from Kyle Paquette, the national program director, and anyway, one thing led to another, and so now I train with the National Wheelchair Curling Program with the hope of maybe going to the Paralympics in 2030, and I'm going to be the CBC broadcaster for the wheelchair curling games this Paralympics, and so just really it has led me to meet so many interesting people. As I was introduced, I'm on the Sandra Schmirler Foundation, and so learning about her and her legacy and raising the $10 million across and contributing to 100 different hospitals across the country. Dana Ferguson is one of our national coaches. Met Lisa Weigel, and Wendy Morgan is my home coach. Carrie Galusha is also on the board, and it just some really, really wonderful. We talked about role models, and I truly feel that I am surrounded by these role models who are making it all happen for me and building me up and encouraging me and just inspiring me to take that risk, to put myself out there, to try something new at an age that you don't usually try things new.
Wow. I didn't know your whole story. Thank you very much for sharing that. What's up, Mick? Right? That's so awesome. I feel like you already covered this, Jillian. The next question was, what benefits or enrichments has your involvement in curling brought to your life? Is there anything you want to add to that unbelievable story?
I will just add a few things. So, at the risk of sounding dramatic, curling has truly changed my life. I work, I have a job. I've been in the same business for 25 years and had always admired other people who had a passion for something. Work was my life, and it was just a little bit boring. And after you've worked at a place for a long time, it gets even more boring. and so it just seemed more and more important for me to find that passion for something. And I'd been looking for it for years and years and years. And just really lucky enough to have found a belonging and a purpose and something to satisfy a curiosity. And also I have 3 nephews, and just being able to maybe help inspire them to take risks, invest in myself or themselves, and just really have the courage to try new things, and that's what it has brought to me.
I can't imagine my life without curling. I don't even, the balance too of having a sport and having a passion, I think just translates into life and everyday living, right? It's just that putting yourself out there, the successes, the wins, the losses, and just how that builds character. I just can't imagine my life without curling. And obviously, you know, it gave me a husband, it gave me a family. Both our children curl, and you just hope that how they see us and how they view both Wayne and I, that fact we're role models. So again, I am who I am because of the sport. You know, eventually probably will have to give it up for whatever reason, but it will always be a huge, huge part of my life. Where was I going with this?
What benefits or enrichments has curling
Well, I
brought
think
to your
everything,
life?
right? It's builds the character of you know, the successes, the failures. I often say many regrets on the ice, because not every shot gets made. And being a skip too, you see those points get on the scoreboard and you feel like you've let your teammates down. So regrets on the ice, because you're not going to win every game. But no regrets off the ice. Thankfully, I've had great teammates that have become friends, so you've got friends for life. So many regrets on the ice for obvious reasons, but no regrets off the ice. It's just been fantastic for everything in my life, and the people that I've made, the lifelong friends that you make through the sport. So no regrets off the ice. Many regrets on the ice. Hopefully we'll change that. Hopefully we'll bring back the gold medal like you've done. But yeah, curling has just been fantastic. And again, I can't imagine my life without the sport, like many of you can.
Thank you. So, yeah, what benefits or enrichments has curling brought to your life? Yeah.
Curling has brought a lot to my life. Mainly friends. I have friends in every province. I can go to every province, and there's curlers that I know at the world level. Like, I went to Australia in 2017. Liz Matthews picked me up at the airport in New Zealand. Like, I met her at the World Championships, right? So the friends is a huge thing. And if you have curling friends, I think, as you mentioned, they're lifelong friends. This week I'm here as a volunteer, just a regular volunteer. I didn't know I was going to do this until the last minute, and I got really involved. It seems to be that I do that quite a lot. I love being involved because curling means so much to me. As I said, it's a huge impact on my life. And the one thing I suggest is that each one of you go outside your comfort zone too, because public speaking is not my thing. Put me in a room where I can organize things, pick me, that's me. But step forward, get involved. Even if at your bonspiel at your club, at the provincial level, they're always looking for people. Just stay involved, because it's really going to make a big impact on your life too. Thank you.
So, as a non-curler, curling's still given me a lot. I want to touch on a few things that when I was thinking about this question really came top of mind. Number one is my network. Obviously, it's brought me all of you here today, but my staff at Curling Alberta isn't a staff. When I interview people, I make it clear that you're joining a team, and if you can't be a good teammate, you're not on my team. And so we talk a lot about third spaces and having that curling club. My team at my work, I spend more time with them than my family. So they're my third family, and it's a real thing. I know, I think it's overused in business that, you invite people in as family, but when you spend the time and you grow together and you face challenges, I can't imagine working in a different industry, where people don't connect with the purpose in the same way. So to my next point, I have a job and a life that I have purpose. Even when I'm pushing papers around on my desk and I'm like, why am I doing this? I know why. Because it's letting little girls play. It's letting, little boys that struggle at school find a place where they belong. So my sense of purpose is stronger through my role. It's also, it's given me a lot of skills that are transferable outside of this world. So I get the assumption, you work at Curling Alberta, you must be a curler. I'm not. But the skills that I have in terms of leadership, negotiation, business skills, all of those things I apply every day outside of this world as well. So it's given me enrichments across my world, and for that I'm grateful. And let me say, the culture of curling is unlike any other. I've worked in other sports. I'm here for a reason. They're not all the same. I love the power of sport, but curling is special. I don't know what that secret sauce is, but these people are amazing, and I'm grateful to be welcomed as a non-curler into that world.
Pretty good answers there. We have one final question for our Joy of Curling panel, and that is, how can women share their love of curling to inspire others to get involved in some aspect of the curling community?
I can start. So for me, this one's pretty easy, and there's two ways to look at it. I would say, number one, personally, please just always say yes when someone asks you to do something, especially as it comes to leadership, so that we can start to normalize more women in leadership roles. So even if you don't feel ready, please say yes and then figure it out, even if it's scary. On the flip side, please ask others and encourage them to say yes, but then be the one to help them figure it out. So if they're scared, if they, whatever that hesitation is, be the one to mentor one person, be the one to sit down and work through some hard problems or to encourage. So say yes and then figure it out, and then on the other side, help other women to figure it out.
As I said before, we really just to step up and get involved. I think that's really, really the thing. And I think sometimes you're not in your comfort zone. But when I was the first female president of the board, I was not in my comfort zone. But I certainly fit into that very, very quickly. And I love being in the boardroom and hearing things and solving problems. And you can be that person too. Thank you.
I think for us to get others involved in this board is just to show the passion and share our passion and share our stories and how we can do that. And I think it's getting harder and harder. When I was growing up, we used to have curling in school, right? We need to bring that back. We need to show that you don't have to come from a curling family, but how do we get those that aren't brought down in the generations, how do we share that? We have to bring it back into the schools, the new Canadians. How do we get our sport out there? We just have to spread the word. And thankfully they get to see it on the stage, on TV. But then I think people are a little intimidated when they think that when you see how good people are. But you don't have to be good. You just come out and do it, and then eventually get better. And just, who cares if you get better, but just to see how social it is and how it can be part of your life. I think we just need to get the word out there in the schools, in the community. That's what part of that networking is all about, is how do we do that? We need to do better at that, because I think that's what we're missing too with the new Canadians, getting young girls out there through the education system. We just need to get the word out there and share our passion, and then we'll become their passion.
I agree. I think one of the really special things about curling is the inclusion and the welcoming community that this sport has. And in my case, having a sport, and I spoke about this earlier, is having accessible places to go, and even if it's not totally accessible, just allowing the openness to have people in wheelchairs curl with able-bodied able-bodied curlers, and just be open and inclusive and welcoming, and that's how we all are here. We talk about the passion, we talk about the joy, and when we're looking for other people to participate in the sport, I think it is important to share our stories like we are today about the joy that this sport brings, especially as a community. And I won't point out, but someone at our table isn't a super fan of curling, the sport themselves, but she just loves the community, and I think that's really a testament to how important the people in this room are, and women's voice when they talk about the community and why curling brings them so much joy.
There were some really, really inspiring messages in those questions. We will take away so many of these things. Something that Sherry said sounds like something that Nolan has already got completely in the works. But this is where things start, and this is such a special part for us to be able to share the Joy of Curling panel, where we hear the perspectives of different involvement of women in the sport. And the real message here is it's a place for everyone. You don't have to play curling. I haven't played curling for years, and I couldn't be more involved in curling. It's a place for everyone to find their place. And so, as you spread these messages that these leaders have shared with us, keep that in mind, that we need to reach out to people outside the curling community and find a way to get them through the door onto our team, because once they get there, it'll just all be clear to everybody how special it is. So thank you so much to our Joy of Curling panel.
I also got the chance to check out a panel moderated by Jolene herself. Here, have a listen.
Who was a woman in the game that made a big impact for you, just either on how you played or on how you approached the game?
For me, it was definitely Sandra Schmirler and her team. We won the Canadian Juniors in 1994, and they were, two-time defending world champions at the time. They hadn't even gone to the Olympics yet, and we had the opportunity to travel with them to Bern, Switzerland, and compete in an event there. And they took us under their wings, and it was our first time traveling overseas, and they were like moms to us, making sure that we were hiding our money and giving us directions on the bus and things like that. So they were really great. And I think 4 years later, when they went on to win the gold medal at the Olympics, to me it was like, wow, we spent time with these ladies, and they were just like, great women who loved the game, and they put their heart and soul into it, and they also had a ton of fun with it. And that's the side I saw off the ice with them. So they were definitely an inspiration for me coming up.
Is there any truth to the rumors that there was a big there are a lot of pranks that would go on between these two teams?
Yeah, they were big practical jokesters, and when we were in Bern, Switzerland, the phone rang in our hotel room, and somebody was speaking German, and Jennifer, it was actually Jennifer that had answered the phone, and the person was speaking German, and she was trying to say, I speak English, and then there was this burst of laughter in the background, and Sandra came on the phone, and it was Jan Bettger on the team that had pretended to speak German as a practical joke on the phone, and anyways, Sandra got on, and they had a big laugh about it, and proceeded to invite us for dinner, so that was nice.
The lost art of prank calls. No one does those anymore. What about you, Beth?
Yeah, so I grew up in Nova Scotia, and so of course Colleen Jones's team was an amazing example of a team that we watched. They were great friends, they enjoyed the sport, they worked really hard and practiced a lot, and I was in the same club in Halifax as them, and I just watched them practice and just loved being out there together. And they had families, and they were just, it was like a big family, that team. And they were just super inspiring for us, being from a small area in Nova Scotia. There weren't necessarily a lot of champions in Nova Scotia, and they were so good, and we really looked up to them.
I would say, I grew up in the town of Lanigan, Saskatchewan, population 1,200, and the Schmerler team, seeing them come up and knowing that Sandra was from New York is big, but this is bigger. I guess just seeing that it didn't matter the size of the town that you were from, that dreams were possible for everyone and they could come true, and I think that really inspired me on my journey. Didn't matter the size of your roots, it just mattered how big you grew. So that whole team inspired me, and I'm so fortunate. I wasn't curling competitively yet when they were at their prime. But at my first Scotties in 2007, I did get to curl against Jan and Marsha and Joan, and just, so grateful that I got the opportunity to meet them, because they are wonderful, wonderful people and full of jokes and stories.
Now, I realize all of you had legends that you looked up to when you were coming up. Today, you are the legends that people look up to. And I know you're all involved in the next generation of curling in your own ways. So from each of your viewpoints, what do you notice that stands out to you the most about this generation of upcoming young women?
Oh, man, Jolene.
And I know you're biased because you're coaching, and that's fine. You're allowed to be biased. So
no, I think what I see in the next generation is I think they see more of a pathway than we did. That's what I think, at home when I coach. I'm the high performance director for Curl Manitoba back in Winnipeg, and so I run a number of youth high performance programs. And I think that's the sense that I get, is that I have a lot of girls in the program, and I think that they see that there's opportunity. So I think the pathway is clearer for them now than it was maybe when we were younger.
I think also there's a lot more opportunities in different avenues. Maybe someone is in school or in post-secondary and they want to just play a little bit, and some want to play more competitive. There's a lot of avenues for everyone, and now with mixed doubles and mixed, and there's just all kinds of things to keep people in sport and keep women and girls participating. It's just a matter of getting out there and getting to know some people, and I think that's great. We didn't have all those other disciplines, I guess, within the sport and opportunities.
What about Girls Rock, Corey? Because you're so involved with young girls getting into curling, what do you notice when you work with those girls that's different now in 2026 than it would have been, in 2006?
I think what I see, part of the reason behind the Women in Curling group is that, not that sport for boys is necessarily doing gangbusters in terms of participation either, but participation numbers for girls and women is even lower. And I'm a little bit competitive, so when I hear that the girls are losing to the boys, I get pretty inspired to do something about that. And Women in Curling has given me an avenue to get involved with that. And I've become an ambassador for a program called Girls Rock, where we invite young girls to come out and try curling for the first time. And we just try to make it a fun, inclusive space, and it has very 10% to do with how to throw a curling rock, and 90% on creating a supportive, cheering each other on, realizing that they're already champions because they've shown curiosity and they've been courageous. Even though they were nervous to come out to a room full of people they didn't know, they did it anyways, and we hope that they take those life lessons back with them. And so I'm just really grateful that I can maybe play a small part in changing the numbers, and then we'll work on the boys' numbers too. We'll get everybody curling. I think that's important that we instill some of that. It's too easy nowadays to get caught up behind the screens and sit at home on our couches, and so we need to get people back out. We learned today about something called social fitness, and that it's just as important to be doing our push-ups and our squats as it is to be out connecting with people. So yay to all of you out here in the room, connecting and socializing.
Very socially fit crowd out here, we can see. Now that was a question, we went to the past of curling, we went to the present. Now I want to just take a couple of minutes and think about the future of curling. When you guys think about where curling is going, especially women's curling, what makes you most excited?
I can go first. I think building on what I was just saying, I think curling has some incredible elements to it that don't exist in all sport. It's possible to go out on the ice with an 8-year-old and an 88-year-old and a 28-year-old and a 48-year-old all on the same team and have an amazingly fun time. And not all sports allow for that. So there's an intergenerational piece that's super important. And I think that means that curling has opportunity. It's also a physical sport, it's a social sport. So there's so many amazing elements. So my optimism for the future is that continues to grow, and we had high numbers, our highest numbers ever for participation in curling in the country last year. Some of our clubs are thriving, others are struggling, but there is opportunity to continue to grow those numbers, and I'm excited to see what that leads to.
Jill, you see curling worldwide, so even outside of Canada, when you think globally, what gets you so excited about it?
Yeah, that's actually where my head went, is because I'm also a board director for World Curling, and so I spend a lot of time on the sport or being connected to the sport outside of Canada as well. And I think that we've had a new president for almost 4 years now, and I think that there's some good things happening. I think we're trying to get on a little better track than maybe we were. We're trying to be a little more strategic, and I just think there's going to be more effort that we're going to put into the countries that are already part of the World Curling family. So I'm hopeful that what we're doing at that level is going to translate into more countries being better.
And Beth, I'm not letting us end without you giving us one word on what you're excited about when it comes to the future of curling. You can narrow it down to one word. You can narrow it down to one word. You don't have to I'm not even going to squeeze a full sentence out of you, but when you think about the future of curling, one word that gets you excited.
Oh, I'm excited. There's so many programs out there. The sport is growing. There's a lot of wonderful people that are organizing some all kinds of different programs. It's just awesome. The sport has lots of promise, for sure.
Awesome. All right, well, ladies, thank you so much for being here for the Legends of Curling, Legends of the Scotties, up close and personal. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
There you go. Thank you, ladies, for coming on out. Thank you, Jolene, for taking us through that one. Yep.
This next segment was an amazing experience. Speed friending with Curling Canada icons, if you will. Honestly, it was just the best way to feel comfortable in the space and get to know a lot of great people and the sport in a short period of time, also while watching Round Robin of the Scotties.
Basically, any questions you have about the game, or any questions you have about like who's favorite to win this week, that would be, or even Olympic questions, who's favorite to win the Olympics, she can answer all of those. You only have 5 minutes with her though, and then I'm swapping out.
Okay. Wow. Okay, well, here in particular, you know, a lot of people, I guess, have their eyes on Ontario, Canada, because I'm hearing a lot of yelling.
Yeah, that's exactly. So Anderson Team Canada is, they've won the Scotties 5 times, I think, this team. So they're definitely one of the heavy favorites. So everybody's, of course, cheering for Ontario because it's here, but also because, you know, they want to cheer for the underdog and stuff too. So that's a big game. And she'll definitely, that team, Team Canada, will be one of the favorites at the end of the week for sure. So yeah, like that's what everybody's watching, that one. And they're playing really well. Ontario's started off the game really well. So yeah, that's kind of exciting for everybody. The other team that's one of the favorites is on the Manitoba team. They have a white jersey on with yellow on the side. That's another favorite team out there. So those are going to be 2 teams we'll probably see in the playoffs later on. Yeah, but Anderson's on some commercials on TV for Kruger and for Scotties, like the skip right here of Team Canada, because she's won the Scotties 5 times.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That is really cool. And it's that I was telling Jolene, it's really cool to see this like in person.
Yeah.
'Cause I've watched some on TV, and it's very like, especially in the round robin style, to like, okay, I'm going from one to another, and to keep your attention on varying things that are happening.
Yeah.
So it's cool to try to keep up with everything.
People that watch curling on TV find when they come to watch it live, it's a bit overwhelming because like you gotta watch like 4 games and then you hear people go ooh, and you're like, oh no, I missed it.
Yeah.
And then like, whereas on TV you're like just watching the one game. So
that's exactly what I said. I'm like, there's so many things happening at once, and I'm just like, my eyes are darting everywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
And then like seeing the coaches like having to sit behind a table and like see all the things going on and not being able to talk for a large portion of time.
Yeah.
I wonder like what's going through their heads as they're like
just watching lots of strategy. They're watching kind of the ice, like how it, because it doesn't stay the same. It's not like a basketball court where it's like the same court all the time.
Yeah.
The ice is different. Like, so there's different areas of the ice that might like curl. The rocks will move and curl a little bit more, or like do different things.
Yeah.
So the coach and the fifth down there are often like watching those patterns, like to tell or help the team with that. So that makes a difference. Like, there's all kinds of different things that change during the game. So you have to be on top of it always. Like that ice, even though it looks like it's the same, like even in hockey, like the ice doesn't affect the game. The ice is a huge factor here. So, yeah.
And I also wonder how, like, for us watching, we can definitely notice how yellow the lighting is making the ice look. I wonder how it is for them down there.
Yeah. I know.
How much of a difference it's making.
I was wondering that too, actually. Yeah. Because the lighting in here is, that like unique for sure. How about you? Do you have any questions? Have you guys ever watched curling before?
I have.
Tell me about.
Okay. You're in.
You got next.
I got next. What do I ask?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
You having fun so far?
Yes. Little chilly, but fun.
Yes.
So I want to introduce you. So these 2 ladies are responsible for starting a really big and growing bronze field in Toronto that raises money for charity. It's been going since 2019. They've raised over $500,000. I think their 1 year biggest record was $145,000. So
Wow, you listen well. Whoa. There, that's one. Okay, one thing to remember.
Yes.
Listen well.
And I thought they would be interesting for you guys because they're really tapped into curling in the city. So, and you guys you're Brampton and where are you?
I'm Brampton.
She's Brampton, I'm Toronto.
Oh, okay. All right. So you guys can chat about just what the local curling scene is like.
Yeah.
But they also would know about who would be the team to watch this weekend too. So I leave it to you. But don't talk their ear off because they want to go socialize too.
Of course.
So do you have like a goal to have an assignment based on this, or?
For myself, it's through my podcast. I work on a hockey podcast, but one of our co-hosts knows Jolene, but I decided to kind of take the leap out and say, like, we're trying to cover different things, and especially it's an all Black people hosted hockey podcast, but we're trying to branch out and see what other sports we can corral in, especially as like sports that racialized people don't really peruse in. So I'm trying to say, hey, come here, enjoy curling, because it's a cool thing, and I've done it once through school, and I had a lot of fun. So I'm like, why not?
Yeah, for sure.
Come out, do the thing.
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity there, I would say. Yeah.
For me, I'm covering the summit, and it's going to be posted on the Curling Canada website.
Yeah.
And that's basically what my role is. So it's like writing, covering the summit, and then writing a story on it, and then pushing it on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Basing off what Marsha said about her hockey podcast, bringing in underrepresented groups in especially just in curling, like with your program, how in Toronto, how do you welcome them into like a space like curling? They don't see much of them in like the sport.
I would say it changed a lot in maybe the last 10 years, maybe, for sake of argument. Like curling traditionally, it was kind of a club, and you would kind of need to decide that maybe you'd like to do it, and then you would kind of go to an open house, and you would decide that, okay, maybe I'd like to join, and then you join for the whole year, and so it's a little, traditionally, like 10 years ago, it would be a bit of a commitment, and I think it would be really, like lots of times the people who curled were, their parents curled, so they were comfortable with it, and they were familiar with it because they were exposed. But I think maybe about 10 years ago we realized that, like, this sport's not going to sustain itself by only relying on that. So a lot of clubs have learned to curl, like they have, short-term sessions, like where you could go for maybe 6 to 8, try it, learn it, and then you can decide if you want to do it. And I feel that that's probably done more to give a broader, more than just the people who grew up curling, an opportunity to kind of try it, figure it out, and see if it's something they want to do for a whole season. Because it's not kind of like going to a rec center. Like a rec center, you decide, I'm going to play squash on Tuesday. And it's a bit more of a commitment because it's a scheduled same time, like same night every week. You're playing at a certain time, so it's a bit more of a commitment. So I think now we're doing a better job of at least giving people the exposure so they can, let them get the foot in the door, and maybe they'll be as excited about it as us. And
I also think there's a lot more rec leagues and different kind of rental leagues that focus on like super fun curling,
like I think at Hyde Park they have like a Saturday night beer, like a beer and pizza league, and that's the thing.
I'm in.
Yeah, or something like as I recall, like. That's true.
Yeah.
Like there's a few more opportunities as opposed to like you sign up and now you're in a laddered competitive whatever.
Yeah. So,
I love that. Yeah. And like even things like as small as that, like give me food, give me drink, I come and I have fun. Like that's amazing.
Right.
So and so one of the clubs in downtown Toronto, Royals, is famous in the GTA for being very inclusive, particularly to LGBT. They've had for decades. They've had that at the club. Very, very inclusive. So it's really awesome. And they have a league called the Super Happy Fun League, and it's the most popular one. Like Nikki tried to get in it. Nikki and Tyler wanted to get into it because it's at a good time on a Friday or whatever. They couldn't get into it.
It's too busy.
Yeah, I know.
That's
like
cool.
Super Happy Fun League. Like how could you not want to play in that? Yeah. So.
And I also love that it's like you're not dropping a lot out of your pocket versus something like hockey where it's like thousands of dollars every month. Where,
or such a big startup cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, the equipment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, at least like the first year of curling, you could get by with kind of a really kind of cheaper shoes or a slider, and you could borrow a club room kind of thing. You could get by with that. Like anything, though, you'd probably, once you got into it, you'd have a better experience if you had better equipment.
Exactly. When you know you're serious, you invest in it. And
especially even for safety, because you're kind of walking on ice. So sometimes what people do, like if you're just going out, like let's say if it's a corporate event, you're all going to do curling for fun, team building or whatever. People will generally bring running shoes. And what will happen is the club will put something on your shoes so that you can slide, and they'll give you grippers to wear, but your shoes normally don't. It's kind of like, I always say it's like winter tires. Winter tires, the rubber's such that it lets you not fall or slip, and same with curling shoes. So you can't just go out there with running shoes and be safe. So you probably, if you joined a league, you'd want to have at least entry-level curling shoes, at least from a safety perspective.
Who's your favorite to take it all? Who's your favorite to take it all?
It's an interesting year. There's so many rookie teams. Like a lot of these, like there's a whole bunch of experienced teams lost their provincial finals, so there's a lot of people here who've been here for the first time. Probably the team, like the red team, Intermission, Team Canada, they'd probably be the odds-on favorites. They're the most experienced, and they've won before. This, that, the other. But there's a lot of good teams who could upset them.
I'm going to say Ricardo. Going to Ontario.
Cool.
I'm going out there.
Nice.
And we were talking about this at supper, like maybe Team Black from Nova Scotia, they're not on this draw, but they lost the Olympic trials final. So they may just be coming into their own. Like, this might be a good opportunity for them to maybe win this, because they did really well in that.
What you didn't know, I think it felt good.
I just love being in this environment. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, like, and you know what? What I love is
we're tapping you guys out.
Okay. Anyway, you see the crayons across the way?
Yeah.
So one of the shots in curling is a draw.
Yes.
And you throw it in the house. And so every time there's a draw, they'll stand up and they'll go, draw. When we were here yesterday, there were people dressed like bananas.
Oh my God.
Because one of the shots in curling is a heel. When you hit the guard and you take it out of play.
Yeah.
And every time that happened, they would stand up and they would yell, heel.
Oh my God.
There's all kinds of people, like for these sorts of things, they'll travel around. Like to the men's or the women's.
And then just do the funny little moves.
It's like the crowd's super fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
You as well.
Enjoy your next date.
Thank you. Next speed date.
I need to get my jacket.
So cool. This is my last person for you guys to meet.
Okay.
Her name is Jen. She also works with Lily Hannah. She's on the Women in Curling Executive. And she's going to talk to you about coaching. She trains a lot of coaches. And about developing young swimmers.
Sport safety wants to go in safe sport. It's the biggest topic in
Hi, how are you?
Good, how about you?
Good.
Do you guys know curling? Are you learning curling?
Learning for sure.
Yes. Cool. I've never gone.
And where are you going to school?
I am working now. I went to school at York. I did a year at Humber for a journal, and then I left, but I was doing humanities at York. My education journey is like all over the place.
It's all right.
But yeah, I do a hockey podcast. Yeah.
I graduated from Humber in journalism 2024
That's where we met.
Yes.
And are you working now?
Not in the field at the moment, just a simple retail job, but I do some writing on the side for like motorsports.
Okay, Okay, I've asked you too many questions. What do you need to know?
Well, you mentioned safe sport. Something indoors. There is ice. Of course, ice is slippery. There's a lot of ways to get injured while you're doing this in particular. Be it the equipment that you use, shoes, your brooms, the rocks, how you curl, all of that. Are those all? I'm sure those are all things that you take into consideration in this sport in particular.
Yeah. To be honest, it's not really injury management that I'm too concerned about.
That's fair.
I'm more concerned about prevention of abuse and harassment.
Okay.
And that's the angle that's plagued the Canadian sports system right now. That said, concussion management is huge. We tend not to see a lot of injuries at this elite level, but we will see a lot more at the club level. It's not uncommon for broken bones, lots of falls, concussions, and so I have dealt with creating a national concussion policy or recommendation, mandating certain equipment. So we make all children under the age of 12 wear head protection. It's a little less popular. We're kind of like figure skating. Like we don't make our elite athletes wear head protection because we're not a contact sport.
Right.
Like it's not really you have to be agile, but we don't have those sudden changes in motion and whatnot that causes a lot of falls. So providing someone's equipment is in good order, we can usually create like some safety recommendations, like we don't step over rocks, or we have those bumpers at the ends of the sheets are the biggest risk in this event because people step over them, they don't realize how high they are, and they will fall, right? But injury management is I would say the smallest part of my sport and safety portfolio, and right now we're kind of hanging our hat on abuse prevention through education. So curling is very fortunate. We have a culture that's very different than, say, hockey or gymnastics.
Very refreshing.
When people ask me, what do you do for a living? And I say my job is so we don't become hockey, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want ever a kid or an adult or a male or female to stop curling because they feel unsafe or unwelcome, right? So it's a big responsibility, but we've done fairly well so far. We're working on creating a national safe sport kind of policy and alignment right from the very top, right down to the club level, and starting to educate those at the club level, which is where our biggest risk is. Because we have the most participants there, the least educated governance folks and staff and whatnot, right? So that's what I spend a lot of my time on, is just working on educating the system on what's allowed and what isn't, and what kind of behavior is acceptable and what we're not going to tolerate and what we're going to do about it if it happens. And really, my goal is to make sure everybody has a positive experience in their sport.
I love that so much. Thank you for the work you're doing on that, because honestly, it's something that a lot of sport is lacking. And it's really cool to see that curling is one that is really taking the line drive to set in stone that kind of policy.
Yeah, like we're as a nationally funded sport, we're forced to, but we're not forced right now. Nobody is telling us to go right down to the grassroots and try to look after those participants. I think it'll come. There's a policy that's come out called the Future of Sport Commission. If you want to know about sport, go and where they're headed in Canada, and go take a look at that. But it's almost like shining a light on how all of the deficiencies of sport in Canada and where the government should kind of focus energies and investments to.
I'm sorry. At the club level, there's so many different ages, right? Like, how do you teach the different age groups the same the criteria?
Yeah, that's fabulous. So curling, I would say curling starts at 5, and the oldest guy at my club's about 96 right now. He fell and broke his wrist, though, ironically, this year in curling. So he's out for the rest of the season, but the principles are kind of the same. You want to make sure they're safe and that they have a good time. So when somebody comes out to curl for the first time, I want them to be able to throw a rock, I want them to be able to sweep, and I want them to yell like pretty hard. Like those are the fun things of our sport. They don't have to do it perfectly, right? So depending if I'm teaching a kids are easy because kids you just show them how to do it. An adult is a little bit more conscious of what's happening, and so they're worried about how they're going to look. They're worried about falling, things like that. So you kind of look to see who's in front of you, and it's pretty simple. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to do all the steps. I just put a rock in their hand. I give them something that they're going to balance on. I'm like, lift your hips and just push, and then let it go, right? And like that's all you need to do in a first experience because you just want them to have that sensation of sliding on ice and just trying it. And it doesn't matter, like if somebody's in a wheelchair or if somebody's older and they're pusher sticks, like if you've ever heard of bowling, you might see that they have like guides that you can just drop the ball and it goes down. And like we have things like that modify the sport so that people can play it and be successful, right? So you just look at who your audience is, and it's not a hard sport. There's not a lot of skill to it. Like it's lift your hips and go. Like I don't want to discount it. It is. These are athletes. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot harder than it looks, and most people from other sports will say, "Oh, that's a lot harder."
But to start.
To start, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like and I would say it's harder than bowling, but easier than skating.
Yeah.
You say something like that, right?
That's a cool little 30-second elevator push.
Yeah. You know what? Our superpower, though, as a sport, is our community, our people. Right? So, I joke that curling's the reason we all just get together. It's the reason we come out late at night and it's cold and we come to our clubs. And we can all stay at home under our blankets and watching TV. In Canada, it's easy to do that.
Yeah.
Right? But to drag yourself off the couch and come out on a January night, it's their minus whatever, 20, right?
Yeah.
You do so because, I joke that curling is the reason. Like, it's just the vehicle that gets us all there to hang out together. And it's our superpower. Our community is our superpower.
And I love that, especially we're in such a time where everyone tries to be so siloed and individualistic. We're craving community. It's nice to see people embrace that, and we need so much more. So it's cool to see that still thriving in a lot of places.
We're saying that curling is it's like a third space for people. So you may have work and home and something else, right?
Yeah.
So what's your third space where you go? Whether it's school or whatever, right? But you need that social outlet.
Yes.
Just to thrive in life.
And we're losing them. So it's cool to be able to point people to curling as a potential option.
Yeah. And I've told my kids so much times, it doesn't matter where you go in the country. However old you are, you might go away to university, or maybe it's after you graduate and get a job somewhere. You can go anywhere, any curling club in this country or in the world, and you will have a community. They will welcome you with open arms, and you're one of them, right? So that's what you gotta find. You gotta find your people, right? All right, girls, I gotta run.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. All right, you have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
It's so cool. My God.
To wrap up the evening, I had the pleasure of scrumming with Laura Walker from Team Laws of Manitoba after their 11-4 win against Quebec. Have a listen. Nice to do it for a couple of seconds. Hi, Marsha, Third Intermission podcast. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Well, how does it, feel being here? You mentioned not having played for a little bit. How does it feel being out here on the ice with a cool amount of people? It's super cold outside, but, nice feeling.
Yeah, I haven't played at a Scotties in a few years, so to come and have the crowds like they are this opening weekend, and not just big crowds, but they're really engaged crowds. It's really fun to be back here, and it is a little bit more fun for me to try something that I've never done before. So I feel very grateful. I'm, I think, getting a little bit older and I'm the old person here now with all of these young rookies and stuff, and I'm really just like I'm trying not to take anything for granted being out there on the ice right now.
Yeah, that's really cool. And from the last one I heard you mention like getting to have a bit of that bird's eye view and bringing in that calm demeanor. What do you think that means to your fellow teammates, being able to kind of ground them a little bit in terms of your support with them while you're on the ice?
Yeah, I think as a team, having someone new come in, the only thing you can ask for is that it doesn't feel too different. You don't want to have to spend a lot of time struggling to figure out what makes everyone tick and what do you need to say and how you need to act. So I think I'm just trying to be a bit of a chameleon right now and just be whoever they need me to be, and hopefully they feel that on the ice.
Of course. Good luck with the rest of the tournament. Thank you for your time. If curling isn't something you've explored before, honestly, it's never too late to start. The thing that I love the most is the community aspect. It's a place to grow, build connections, and more. We're losing third spaces, and in my time, it was evident that curling is working hard to maintain them. So don't be scared to give it a try. Honestly, you'll be welcomed with open arms, whether you're 6 or 96. Yes, I'll be honest, you really don't see that many racialized folks, but I think that's because we're really scared to come out of our comfort zones. You don't like to see Black people out in the cold unless we're like bundled up. We like our sun, we like our beaches, but it's a fun experience. So go find a group of friends, find a club close by, and try something new. I promise, you'll enjoy. And that's it for this special episode. Once again, thanks for letting us grace the space in between your head tops. For now, deuces.